Hello, you lovely Hammers fans. It's Nick from Claret and Booze. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all well. Are you enjoying the start of a lovely 2-week holiday away from West Ham? I am. I'm kind of getting over it a little bit now. I did get a little bit triggered yesterday, and I'm going to explain why in a little bit. Well, no, I will now, actually, because, look, as you know, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I react to things as I see them, how I feel them. With Potter, as I've already explained, I haven't got anything against Potter. I want him to succeed. I need him to succeed because I don't think the guy's going anywhere. That's the trouble. He's not. He's not going to go anywhere. So we need him to be what we want him to be. So I think a lot of fans are believing that. I'm believing it, which is why I'm getting so angry and irate when what I'm seeing unfolding before my very eyes is the polar opposite of that. And then even when I have my tantrums afterwards, I calm down and I think, oh, look, maybe these things that you hear on, from people where they go, oh, wait until he gets these players, wait until this, wait until that. Maybe it will be fine, even if I don't really believe it. Because one thing that we do all need at this stage as West Ham fans is hope, it's belief. And what I often do, because although I've got my opinion, I'm a type of person, I like to listen to everyone's opinion. So what I will often do is go and listen to Gio on Hammers Chat, who is very balanced. He is. Some people might even say he's careful. He sits on the fence. But what he don't do is he always gives you a sensible opinion. I think quite considered. He thinks with his head, if that makes sense. So what I saw from Gio yesterday, it struck fear into me. Because I put a lot of faith in people like Gio to make me feel better when I'm feeling bad. I do. But he didn't succeed yesterday, and this is the video that I'm going to play you next, all right? And I'm going to come back and talk to you after.
My concern over Potter isn't necessarily what I've seen of him at West Ham. It's what I've seen of him at Brighton. That's why I have these frustrations, and I wanted to see something different at West Ham. But all I've seen, I genuinely feel like I've watched a continuation of Graham Potter's Brighton so far at West Ham. I feel like he's literally come out of that job and gone into this one. Forget Chelsea. I feel like he's left Brighton last week, come into West Ham this week, and he's taken his blueprint with him, and we've all just started playing like Brighton. You could put Brighton strips on the players on Saturday, and I would have believed that was a Brighton performance that we just seen against Everton. And here's two facts. A, stats that I believe are true, but I need to double check. But someone else, James Gunn's kindly checked them and said that was correct. A, they went 3 months without scoring a goal at home from open play, right? And B, they went 3 months without, and this is 2 different periods, by the way, and a different period, they went 3 months without winning a game at home. Wow. They won 4 games at home all season. And before someone says, yeah, but build his team, this was Graham Potter's 3rd season at Brighton. He'd built his team, and that was what he came up with. So I think what we're seeing now, I believe, is what we will see next season, even after a summer transfer window, because I think what we're seeing now is what he wants to do.
It doesn't get any better the more I watch it. I've got to be honest. Yeah, it's terrifying. It actually is, because I know myself that I can't get on board with that style of football, and I never will. I won't. Which is miserable. And when you think back to the point we moved away from David Moyes as we understood it, because one of the reasons was the style of football wasn't appeasing the fans, and it looks like they've gone to the most uber defensive coach going in his 3rd season as well. I've gone back and now I've checked. In his 19 games at Brighton, he won 5, he drew 7, lost 7, scored 19 goals and conceded 23. Yet everyone has got this myth in their head that after 2 years he built this amazing team at Brighton and they was amazing and fantastic. They weren't. There is no body of evidence whatsoever. The 2 subsequent seasons, he finished 15th and 16th. So I don't know where this is coming from. And it was the same problem. Apparently he went like a calendar year just winning at home once or something in one of the seasons before. So this style of football is what Potter is renowned for. That's not saying that he can't change. But we're not seeing that. We're seeing him implement what he wants to deliver. He's very much all about not conceding as opposed to scoring. And Gonzo made a good point yesterday as well. He came out and said, look, this style of football is going to really please defensive players because we're under control and they're never under any sort of real threat. But the attacking players are going to die because they're putting in so much work for little to no reward. And look, attacking players are selfish by nature. They are. They like to score and assist. It's what motivates them. It's what they want. So eventually, in such a fruitless system of them putting in loads and loads of work for little to no reward, they're gonna suffer. They're gonna lose interest. So this is worrying. And when you look at the likes of Alvarez, who I don't care what anyone says is far better than James Ward-Prowse or Souček, is clearly the expendable one. I do think that players that want to play explosive football, getting forward, progressive football basically, which means moving in that direction towards the opposition as opposed to standing where you are and just controlling the ball, they will be pushed out in favour of players that will just tick the ball over, and be patient. And that's not to say that we aren't going to be very good at it. Gio went on to say that Potter will be very good at delivering this style of football and we'll get enough points. We're probably not going to we won't get relegated playing that way because you're not taking any risks whatsoever. You're always going to get to 40, 45 points. Always. But it's a real concern. And I identified early on with Potter, I've said it in a few shows, with the way that he reacted. I think Frankie mentioned it at the end of that video, if you go back and watch it on Hammers Chat. The way that he reacted in press conferences when he's pressed, when he's pushed. You can tell a lot from someone when they're put under pressure. Anyone can be lovely and whatever else when they're just sitting there reading a monologue and they're not being challenged. But when somebody is put under pressure, when you see how they react, you can get a lot from them. And there's been a lot that he's said. There's been a lot that he's done. He doesn't react at all well to pressure from the press. And when you consider that really, look, he ain't under any pressure at the minute. Not really. Even though there's fans moaning, he's under no pressure whatsoever. We're safe from relegation. There's nothing at all. So how spiky is he going to get? Is he going to be when the hard questions do start coming? Because one thing that I do know, with the press, if you do take that tact with them and you're rude to them, well, when things start getting a little bit tricky, don't expect them to be on your side. So the hard questions will continue to come. But that aside, he came out in the Ironcast. This is my main concern. We're not idiots. And he said that in his Ironcast. But look, it was as if he'd been prepped before he came out. Look, just say this, and this. They'll love it. They'll be eating out the palm of your hands. He said all the right things. West Ham fans are not stupid. They've got a long history of wanting to see their teams play on the front foot. And I'm going to give them a style of football that they can identify with. They are not stupid. We're not stupid, mate. We're not. We listened to what you were saying and we were very excited by it. But ultimately, we're going to need to see that play out. We're going to have to. And again, this isn't me saying it isn't going to play out. Okay? I hope it does. I hope that he turns into the complete opposite of what he was at Brighton. Definitely not the same as what he was at Brighton. Because we don't want that. It yielded nothing. 15th, 16th, and then an awful third season by the sound of it. And it is like, I don't know where the myth came from, because I remember myself, because I don't watch much football other than West Ham. I really don't. Gio does. He saw a lot of Brighton with Potter managing them. But in my head, I kind of had the opinion of Potter as being a good manager. But I don't know why. I don't know where that came from. Is it just because he's English? I don't know. He's a really good manager. But completely factless, to be honest, because I weren't watching them. And obviously weren't keeping any eye at all on what they was doing week by week. The games, the goals scored and stuff like that. Just weren't interested. But yeah, Graham Potter's a good manager. You just kind of accepted it. And then Chelsea got hooked in. They went and paid Brighton a fortune to release him and all the scouting team. Brought him into Chelsea, kept the scouting team, and sacked him very, very quickly. He was on £1 million a month. He was earning a fortune there. So yeah, it's not just us that have been catfished, so it seems. Now look, we have been. You might not like that term, but as it stands, we have been, because What we think in our heads that Potter is, he isn't, or at least he has never been. It doesn't mean he can't become an attacking manager, because I tell you what, he's going to have to now. He's got to, with especially in that stadium, because you need to be entertained. You either need success or you need entertainment. You can't have neither of those things. You can't. The place will be empty for the rest of time. There's more and more fans dropping off every week that are just losing faith in it. So I'm hoping and praying that over the next 2 weeks, the club talk to Potter and that maybe he changes his mindset and does actually start to understand what the fans want. Because I'm sure he is a skilled coach. I'm sure there's more than one way to skin a cat. I'm sure he can change. But one thing's for certain. The rhetoric that's been going around there of we want give Potter time and he'll turn into what he was at Brighton. We don't want that. We don't. You definitely don't want that. I'm convinced of that now. We want Potter to be better than that at West Ham. We're not Brighton fans. We're not little old Brighton who will just take whatever. I mean, they went from Houghton to him. So it was steady progress. You know? Whereas, I'm telling you now, if Potter was delivering this, if he followed Moyes, and this is what we was treated to, would have been calling for his head in the same way that we was calling for Lopetegui's head. We would have been. If this would have been what we was treated to in those first 10 games after Moyes. But the trouble is the bar has been set so low by Lopetegui, we were won over by the press conferences. You know, breath of fresh air. That is the fact of the matter. And now we're clinging to him because we also now don't trust the board to go out and replace him if he was to go. Well, look, he's not perfect, but, you know, Lopetegui, you know, we're lucky to have this one. That's kind of where we are. And it's a horrible, desperate, miserable situation to be in. Now, look, I'm hoping, like I've already said, that he proves me wrong, and we're going to have a debate about this. John's coming on the show on Wednesday. John's far more he's more settled with the idea of giving Potter time, and he thinks there's more to Potter than this. Which is good. You know, we need balance on the show. And look, do you know what? I need to believe it as well. Because if I accept that this is what we're going to be moving forwards, well, I can't. I can't accept it. And I won't be able to maintain my interest in West Ham for the foreseeable if that's all that we are and it's all that we're ever going to be. I can't do it. World-class team, world-class stadium, challenging for Champions League, and this is where they expect us to be happy. Not a chance. Never. Come on, you irons.